Today I've got some acrylic paint markers and I haven't tried these before, so that's going to be a new thing for me. These are water based, they're quick drying, and when they dry they're waterproof, so if you get them on your clothes, try to wash it off straight away before it dries, because once it's dried you will never get it out of your clothes. So wear some old clothing maybe, or something like today I've got no sleeves. So there's 24 in the pack and they are dual tip, dual colour. So there's actually 48 colours because there's going to be a different colour on each end of the nib. So they've got a unique nib and there's some examples of everything that you can use them on. It's a brush nib. Where does it say that? The brush pen. And in the pictures it shows that you can draw on stones, canvas shoes, plates, your phone cover, bowls, cups. I would advise if you're going to draw on cups and bowls, maybe not inside where the food would be going. Do it on the outside and then maybe seal it with something and then hand wash. So maybe don't put it in the dishwasher. So they have a brush tip that is soft and flexible, and they should be safe to use and odourless. So let's have a little look inside. So these are all the colours. I'll get them all out. So I'll be doing a swatch chart of all of these, and we do a swatch chart just because sometimes when they've dried they're a different colour to how the lids look, and then it's easier to see all the colours together as well when you're picking your colours. So there's a little leaflet in here as well with inspiration, everything that you can draw on. You can decorate your pumpkins at Halloween with them, flower pots. It should draw on glass as well. So that's just a little leaflet in different languages about them. It says here what you can use them on: glass, porcelain, metal, plastic, ceramic, wood, canvas and stone. And how to use them, it says put the cap back on promptly after use so that they don't dry out. Also, you need to store them horizontally, because if you store them upright, all the ink will, well, the paint will go to one nib, but then the one that's facing up would end up dry because the paint has run down. So store them lying flat. It says if the ink is light or cannot be written, it's due to improper storage. So like I say, if all the paint has run down instead of to the nib. So if you lay it flat for 2 to 3 hours, it should work again if it hasn't run out of paint. It's recommended that when writing for the second time to wipe off the ink of uneven colour on the pen tip on a piece of scrap paper before you start. So if there's a build-up of paint on the nib, just give it a little wipe before you start. If it dries up during use, give it a shake a few times. And if it doesn't write smoothly, rub off any solidified ink on the pen tip. So that's the advice. So what I've done is I've just drawn a chart, some squares, a grid. I've done 48 and I'm going to swatch all the colours. Now it doesn't say on the pens any numbers or colours or anything, so I'm sort of gonna have to just go by eye which pen is which after I've done the chart. But you could cut out your little colour swatches and actually sellotape them on there so you can see exactly what colour it turns out when it's dried. So we'll see at the end as well how much they soak through the paper. This is just thin dot paper. It's not very thick at all, but if you have a colouring book, usually if you want to use these in your colouring books, I'll just show you quickly the back of, for example, the Beauty of Horror books have a tester sheet at the back, and then some colouring books have some pages at the back that are just blank or with some writing on, so then you can test the pens to see exactly how they would react on that type of paper in that book. But if not, you can just test them out on a scrap piece of paper as well. So let's get on with the colour swatching. Just before I do the colour swatching, let's just take a quick look at the nib. So that is the brush nib, and you don't have to pump these like you do with some paint markers. The paint should already be at the tip of the pen, and the colours on the pens as a general rule seem to be a shade of pink at this side, shade of pink at that side. For example, 2 different shades of oranges, but there are the exception where this one seems to be a dark green and a yellow. But as a general rule, most of them are different shades of the same colour at each end of the tip. So there we have all of the colours that I have tested now, and I've noticed some of the colours cover really well. The little dots of the paper don't show through, but some of the colours, like these light colours, the yellows, these pale colours and the whites, the little dots on the pattern of the paper do show through. So some colour really well, some show through, they might need a second coat, or they might just not cover those little dots at all. So something to bear in mind there. There was also a silver and a gold in the pack, and a black and a white. And then if we turn over, you can see that they didn't bleed through the paper, and it is only very thin paper, this as well. So I would still advise though, if you want to test out your colouring book paper, if that's what you're going to be using these pens in, do still test them, make sure that they're not going to ruin the next page, and put a sheet of paper in between. Some colouring books as well, let me just show you quickly this. In the back of the Beauty of Horror books, there is a sheet where you can test all your pens and colour palettes, so you can see exactly how the pens will react to the paper in this book. Some colouring books as well have like writing at the back. There's usually a page sometimes at the back to test how they will react to the paper in that book. But you can also just try them on a little scrap piece of paper first. They did dry very quickly as well, that is all dry. So they're not as messy as using acrylic paints with the water and the brushes, and they take a little bit longer to dry. I think I would use these pens myself in my colouring books just for adding little bits of detail in the end, put some little textures when I finish, just some finishing touches. I think that would be quite nice. So the markers, they say as well that they are odourless. There is a very slight smell of acrylic paint because that's what they are, so they're not like alcohol markers that can have quite a strong smell. I know people can be very sensitive to the alcohol marker smell. It can make you feel a little bit sick as well, but these don't. There's just a very slight smell of acrylic paint, but nothing that you can actually really smell, only if you're doing probably a very big area, or if you colour quite close to the page, maybe you can slightly smell it, but it's nothing that will knock you out, I don't think. There's also no brand name on these pens, but if I find them on Amazon, I will pop a link in the description below if you want to go and have a little nosy at them and try them out yourself. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.